All right, it is Friday, May 16th, 2008, and it is the day after the Season 7 finale of Smallville. I do apologize that I wasn't able to do last week's Smallville. I was kind of busy. I didn't have a chance really to sit down and record, but so I'm going to kind of include both of them in this short review. But basically, this is how the series ends. Clark finds out there's some more connection to Veritas. Now, this is last week's episode, Quest. He finds out there's more connection to Veritas at this church in Canada. So he goes up there and ends up finding out that the monk who is there is a surviving member of Veritas who's been hiding out, Edward Teague. Well, Mr. Teague apparently thinks that since Clark hasn't taken care of Lex Luthor, as in killed him, and that Lex is close to finding out the secret of Veritas, then, which he's pretty much the reason that it's Mr. Teague's doing is the reason that Clark has found out about this, because one of his henchmen pretty much carved a message to Clark in Lex's chest, and it was a Kryptonian symbol basically warning him, and that led him to discover the church. So anyway, Mr. Teague and Clark are talking. Mr. Teague decides he's going to use an ancient Kryptonian ritual to sacrifice Clark, since he won't take care of Lex, and it's better for Clark to be dead than for Lex to control him and have Clark be a force for evil in the world. So he puts Clark on this concrete slab in the church, pours it full of liquid kryptonite, and as it's draining his abilities and killing him, he carves a symbol into Clark's chest. Well, Lex, using the cryptograph and everything that he has, ends up finding out about this church as well and realizes that that's where he has to go to get the last piece of the puzzle to find out how to control the Traveler. Well, he gets there, takes the cryptograph, realizes it fits onto a big grandfather clock. So he sticks it on there, the front face spins around, and this little Superman S-shaped Kryptonian crystal is in there. He takes that out of the clock, then has a confrontation with Edward Teague. So they get into a fight. Well, Chloe ends up coming to Canada to follow Clark just in case he's in any trouble, which he is, obviously. She finds him on the concrete slab, gets rid of the liquid kryptonite, he recovers, goes out to find Lex and Edward Teague fighting. So he saves Lex and Edward, basically from killing themselves, and super speeds out of there. Well, Lex does end up getting a hold of the little crystal. He finds out that the piece it attaches to has been hidden in the Luthor mansion this whole time, above the fireplace on the hearth. So he cracks that open, gets out this orb, puts the disc in there, and it shoots out this holographic map that basically is pinpointing him to the Arctic Circle. Okay, now Lex has a destination. So we pretty much figure where this is going at the end of Quest. Well, Arctic last night was the episode. Lex finds his way to, getting himself prepared to head up north. Well, a few things happen in this episode. One, okay, Lana's still in a comatose state at this point, trying to figure out how to get her out of there. Well, Kara also is on a vendetta of her own, it appears. So she is on a plane that Edward Teague has chartered to go down to South America to try and escape this whole thing and hide again. Well, Kara ends up asking about Veritas and pretty much lethally threatening Mr. Teague. Well, okay, so she basically brings the plane down after she finds out that Edward Teague told her that Lex knows about Veritas and where to find the device to control the Traveler. Kara takes the plane down by flying out of the end of it. It shatters, falls down. They find out, the bodies are recovered in the black box. Well, Clark ends up getting to listen to the black box recording due to Chloe hacking into security, and he hears Kara's voice. He tries to confront Kara, who basically kicks him across the barn and tells him, in not so many words, get the hell away from me. So anyway, also, Lex has gotten Jimmy to basically give some false information to Lois to kind of get her off of Lex's back. He doesn't feel right about doing this, even though Lex is still holding the whole Chloe can be arrested by national security thing above his head. Well, Jimmy stands up to Lex and says, I lied to Lois once, I'm not going to lie to her anymore. That's not me. She's my friend. Lex told him he respected that idea. Well, of course, we all know Lex. Yes, toward the end of the episode, as Jimmy is proposing to Chloe, the Secret Service comes in and arrests her. So Jimmy tries to get a hold of Clark and figure out what happened. Well, basically, and this is after Chloe came out of the trance, same kind of trance that Brainiac put Lana in. Well, they come to find out that Kara isn't really Kara. She is Brainiac, disguised as Kara. And when Brainiac tried to put Chloe in the same sort of trance that Lana was in, her meteor powers affected him, drained him, so he had to go recharge. Clark figured out where he was. He was at an electrical power plant trying to recharge. Clark knocks him aside, shoves him into one of the transformers, and starts shoving wires into him to overload him and kill him. Well, that does end up getting Chloe and Lana out of their comatose state. So when Clark finds out about Clark finds out about Chloe coming out of the comatose state, then he goes to check on Lana, who has already awakened and left. Leaves him a DVD she made saying that she loves him, but the world needs him more, so she basically takes off. And as he's watching this back at the Kent house, Lois shows up and sees this, realizes that Lana's basically just left Clark and he's devastated. So she rushes in for the save, gives him a big hug, showing the closer connection of Lois and Clark. Also, there was a cool scene, too, with Lois and Clark earlier in the show where she brought in an application for him for the Daily Planet as an intern. So maybe next season we're going to see a little bit of that coming. Well, anyway, back to this other story. We find out since Brainiac was taking over as Kara, he shoved her in the Phantom Zone. Well, Lex ends up going north, finds the fortress. Clark ends up going in there to stop him. Okay, well, Lex takes the orb, puts it into the Kryptonian crystal console that Clark uses to control the fortress, and all of a sudden the fortress starts shaking. Clark falls down in pain. Lex goes up, picks him up, just kind of looks at him. He says, "I thought of you as a brother, but now I've got to save the world." And then all of a sudden, the crystals of the fortress start breaking apart. They suck themselves back down into the ground. The fortress is gone. And credits. Bam! Season 7 finale of Smallville. So, unfortunately, for all you Smallville fans out there, we've got about 4 months to wait for the next Smallville to come out. But how did you think about the Season 7 ending? Did it work for you? Were there things missing? Was there something better they could have done? Let me know what you think. But I thought it was a pretty good ending. Not near as overly spectacular as most of the season finales are, but was interesting to see what's going to happen. You know, obviously we know in the future that Lex does not know who Superman is. So how is this going to get solved? How's the fortress going to come back? You know, how are we going to get Kara out of the Phantom Zone? Unanswered questions that we still, and what's going to happen with Chloe? Is she going to be, are they going to get her, out of jail? Who knows what's going to happen? It's all out there, and we do have to wait a few more months to see what's going to happen for the Season 8 premiere. Heard that there are 2 new villains that they're casting for the show. Apparently one of them is supposed to be based on Doomsday. The other, I think, was supposed to be, from the description I read, as a female. I thought it was supposed to be a character named Maxima. But apparently it's been leaked that her name is, they shortened her name to Tess. Like Tessmacher. Miss Tessmacher from the Superman movies. So who knows? Could be either one. But anyway, sorry this was such a quick thrown together review, trying to do 2 episodes at once, but I did want to get that out there, especially since the finale was last night. So again, tell me what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like. Put it in the comments, let me know. So that's going to do it for this episode of EO Chat on the Smallville review. Fortunately, it's going to be the last Smallville review for the next few months, but we'll get back to it once Smallville starts. So anyway, take care. That's it. I'm out. We'll see you later.